This story, I don't know how I didn't hear about it when the first part of this story happened, but I'm glad I've heard about this second part and I can finally cover it now. And I'm glad it's getting some real media attention because it's a blatant example of the right being contradictory of everything they claim to stand for. They're being blatantly hypocritical. That is to say, a Tennessee sheriff made the decision to arrest a liberal poster on social media for a meme they made about Donald Trump and Charlie Kirk after the assassination. This was very much a case of getting arrested for a meme. You guys might remember years and years ago, a YouTuber named Count Dankula was arrested for posting a video of his pug doing something that looked like a Sieg Heil salute and making jokes about his pug being a Nazi. He went to jail for that because it was the UK, and they don't have free speech there. Apparently Tennessee is also the UK, where they don't have free speech, because if you post a meme that offends the Republicans, the Tennessee sheriff will show up to arrest your ass, I guess. Well, the charges were dropped, because apparently in America, where we have free speech, it is not, in fact, illegal to post a meme. And while he was forced to stay in jail for a month, thankfully, he is not looking at any prison time or a felony. But they really did try to go after him with this. They tried to ruin his life. They were going to put him in prison. They were going to give him a felony. They were going to try to ruin him over this. Thank God he was saved, but the fact they could get him in jail for a month and the fact that Tennessee sheriff is now defending his decision to jail this guy is insane. But he just got released. He just got let out. Because, reminder, Donald Trump and his supporters, jokes are not illegal. Not even if they're about your favorite guy, Donald Trump. Yeah, you guys were always talking about jokes should make comedy legal. Legalize comedy. That includes comedy about Charlie Kirk or Donald Trump as well.
Jailed for a meme. Tonight, a Middle Tennessee sheriff defends the arrest of a...
I cannot express to you guys how happy I am that we live in a day and age where meme is a regularly said word on the news. Like boomer television cable news, you regularly hear the word meme nowadays. I love that for us.
Man for posting this online meme quoting President Trump. Good evening. I'm Rory Johnston.
And I'm Carrie Sharp. Free speech advocates are sounding the alarm about this man's arrest. But in an interview, Perry County Sheriff Nick Weems claims this man left him no choice.
The sheriff sat down to answer some tough questions from News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams.
Phil,
I'm really curious. Comment down below if you think so. Do you think that this is a blatant case of the Republicans showing their ass? Do you think this is a case of them showing their hypocrisy, using their power to shut down the free speech of people that are left-leaning, while also, on the other hand, claiming to be victims anytime a private platform de-platforms a popular right-wing figure? Is this them showing their ass, or do you think that this is somehow not hypocritical? Tell me down below in the comments. I'm really curious. And of course, if you end up liking this video, maybe leave a like on it. It does help a lot. And subscribe if you want to see more.
there are a lot of people out there who are outraged over this.
That may be an understatement. Larry Bussard has been behind bars for more than a month.
I have to admit, the first thing I thought when I heard his name, when I heard the news earlier this morning, was that his last name was Bust Hard. It's Bussard, but we're gonna call him Bust Hard because this is the kind of guy that you know busts hard.
And right now, he's not scheduled for another court appearance for more than 5 weeks. The question is, should this case ever have gone this far?
Yeah, there's been some very, very bad phone calls that my employees has had to endure.
This guy is a hog. God damn. Talk about a cop. Like, you know, I've kind of felt sad that when I see cops these days, they're always like dudes about my age, and when you hear them talk, they talk just like me, and it's like, ah, man, like, if you were an on-duty cop, like, you and I would, like, get along, you know, like we'd be talking and getting along. I have no idea that you were a cop. Like, you're a young-looking dude who looks like he's gonna go home and play some Fortnite. It's always nice to see that those like classic, like genuinely look like they're about to go out and beat up a minority, like classic copy look still exists. You know what I mean? Because nowadays all the cops are Zoomers. You know, they're all fresh-faced Zoomers, and they all say no cap and bro.
Phone calls that my employees has had to endure, our dispatch has had to endure.
He's literally got the thin blue line flag up behind him and everything. Like, he's maximum conservative cop LARPing. He is a Tennessee sheriff, and he needs you to know that.
My employees has had to endure, our dispatch has had to endure.
For Perry County Sheriff Nick Weems and his office, the last few weeks have been rough as word has spread about their arrest of 61.
I wonder if this guy's ancestors took part in any lynchings. Yeah, you wonder? You think maybe? Well, you wonder. You wonder if his ancestors took part in any lynchings. That is a man whose bloodline has been purely in that town in Tennessee for generations, okay? That is a man whose lineage in that town goes back a long way. And I guarantee you that lineage had thoughts on people of color. I guarantee you he's got thoughts on people of color that are not too far off from those distant family members.
Office, the last few weeks have been rough as word has spread about their arrest of 61-year-old Larry Bussard for a Facebook post. A local judge set Bussard's bond at $2 million.
He's been here for 35 days.
35 days over a meme.
Well, it was a series of posts, but yes, the one post that he made was the one with Donald Trump that got everybody's attention and was considered threatening.
Yeah, I love you. Okay. Thank y'all.
Local police took Bussard into custody at his home.
Like, typically, by the way the United States handles threats made about the president is a little bit in-depth when it comes to, or any kind of thing that could be interpreted as a threat. It is, to be fair, more often than not, left to the discretion of a lot of individuals involved, whether or not some ridiculous nonsense joke goes so far as to wind someone up in prison. So a really good example of this is there was a YouTuber who talked about this, that he and his buddy on Discord were in a server that had a relatively public-facing side. Like, it was mostly a friend Discord, but it was somewhat public, and strangers would come in and out relatively often. And the close friend circle in that Discord would make really edgy jokes at each other. Even, like, jokingly, in detail, threatening to kill each other, right? But it was just part of their friend group, right? They were very much joking around. None of them were serious. It was literally a running joke, and they would do it to each other back and forth and see if they could outdo each other on how descriptive of the obviously not serious murder they're going to commit at each other could be, right? And a few months, a year or two, it was like years after one of these conversations, this guy received a letter in the mail that the FBI had subpoenaed Discord to receive all of his private logs, and that nothing came of it years later. Nothing ever came of it. He never got a court date. He never got charged with anything, but he got subpoenaed for those logs, and as far as that YouTuber knows, that was the only thing that could have been what the FBI would have been concerned about. And so, yes, if you get reported, and it's clear that someone reported it, that's why the FBI even knew about those, messages back and forth between those people. Some stranger must have reported it. But, the FBI will look into something that's supposedly a threat, deem that it was just a joke, even if it comes off as serious, and nothing will come of it. It is very common for authorities to just, realize that something was not a serious threat, to recognize joking about something, even if it's fucked up, if it's not a serious threat, is not against the law. And typically that's where the end of things happens, right? There are exceptions, however, where really ridiculous, obvious jokes lead to serious prison time. One of my favorite examples would have to be Josh Pillault. He's known as the RuneScape felon. He's a guy that when he was 20-something, early 20s, late teens, he regularly drank a lot of underage drinking, and he would just play the fuck out of RuneScape. And he had a friend on RuneScape who I think the first thing that got attention on him was he would make some pretty edgy, irreverent comments on RuneScape. Nothing that on its own could get you in trouble, but it was enough to get people reporting him just to be assholes, right? But what really got him, what was investigated and found that got him, was that a friend of his had sent him a link to a video game that you could download off the internet that was a video game recreation of some famous school shooting. And Josh Palault clicked the link and went to the website, saw the game on the website, but never downloaded it. He never downloaded or played it. He just left the site and went on with his day. But the fact that he had visited the site was on his metadata, it was in his computer's stuff, and when they searched his things with the warrant they got, they found that, and they actually used that in court against him. And the judge was so tech illiterate that when his defense made the case that, Your Honor, he did not download this school shooting game, he did not play this school shooting game, it was sent to him by a friend, and he looked at it on their website and then closed the tab. And the judge said, and I quote, "I don't even know what download means." And they had to explain that it was similar to walking by a store and looking at a product through the glass display window and then going on about your day. And so the judge clearly did not understand a fraction of the fundamental necessary context to understand why Josh Palault had not broken any actual laws. But because all the people involved were either somewhat motivated to make an example out of him, being this edgy gamer who'd said something a little too off-color online, or were too tech illiterate to recognize that this was a nonsense case that should be thrown out when it actually got to court, that he actually ended up serving serious time in prison because of it. He served a year in prison, a while in a federal prison for jokes he made on RuneScape and the fact that a friend sent him a link to a game he didn't download and he didn't play. So when it comes to whether or not a joke you make could get you arrested, it has always been up to the discretion of local law enforcement and local DA and the judge and whatnot. But this is clearly a case where the decision was left up to the sheriff, and the sheriff made this decision because of political bias.
Thank you.
Local police took Busshart into custody at his home in Lexington, Tennessee on September 21st based on a warrant issued out of Perry County. The one-time cop is one of those rare liberals in rural Middle Tennessee and a keyboard warrior known for posting progressive memes like these.
So he's an ex-cop living in rural Tennessee who posts liberal memes? Huh. This guy sounds fucking based. I guess, to be fair, if you're an ex-cop from Tennessee, you probably were conservative for a time and then maybe fell out of conservatism. And I can imagine that a lot of conservatives, upon becoming more left-leaning, they might start posting like they're conservatives, but they post about left-leaning content, and they expect to be able to get away with it. But I think a lot of them, there's going to be a sort of, I guess a adjustment period for a lot of ex-conservatives, right? Where you're, as a conservative, you're used to being able to basically call for violence against minorities, entire minority groups, and get away with it. But if you're left-leaning and you think that, you can make those kind of comments about your left-leaning positions, or even a fraction as radical, and get away with it, then you end up posting memes like that, and you end up in jail. Because if you're left-leaning, you're not allowed to push the bar, or you're not allowed to, push it anywhere near as much as the right can and get away with it. As a conservative, you can post memes about beheading Obama and get away with it. As a lefty, you're not allowed to even make memes about hoping that Trump gets sick without getting a knock at your door. So, yeah, the fact is there's a double standard, a blatant one, and this is a very good example of it in action.
This is what they charged me with.
Okay.
Threatening mass violence at a school.
At school?
It's referring to a school. I have no idea.
I'm
This is what
not
they've called us
I'm
for.
not blaming.
and I ain't got a clue.
I play on Facebook. I threaten no one. I know you don't give a damn.
This is the meme that landed Busshard.
I like that. He just says, I was just on Facebook. I didn't threaten no one, but I know you don't give a damn. And he just laughs. Because, like, obviously the cop doesn't give a damn. Like, he's not going to hear his defense and be like, oh, all misunderstanding. I'm just going to let you out. I like that, though. Just been like, listen, I didn't threaten anyone, just so you know, but I know you don't. Like, it doesn't matter. Just making the statement as almost like a personal thing. Like, bro, I just want you to know, you're not arresting someone right now who's actually out there online making threats, okay? Like, I'm not that guy, you know? I know it doesn't matter what I say, but I just want you to know I'm not that guy. I like that. He seems like a chill dude.
In jail, he posted it as part of a discussion about Charlie Kirk's murder. The meme quotes Donald Trump saying, "We have to get over it." It was exactly...
Wow. This could not be any more blatant. This is the meme that got him arrested. It's wild, because the thing that got Jimmy Kimmel taken off the air wasn't even a comment about Charlie Kirk that was negative. It was like a joke about Trump's ballroom. Meanwhile, this is quoting Trump about needing to get over a shooting that happened and calling out his hypocrisy, and that he's so obsessed about like a long-term mourning for Charlie Kirk but doesn't care about the murder of children. Like, calling out that hypocrisy. This is apparently the threat that got this guy arrested and put in jail for a month. We truly have lost freedom of speech. As always, those that cry freedom of speech the loudest are the ones who plan to take it away as soon as you let them have power.
The meme quotes Donald Trump saying, "We have to get over it." It was exactly what the president said the day after a deadly school shooting in Perry, Iowa.
That's the meme that he posted, correct?
That looks like it, except this part was blurred out, the face.
Where is the threat in there, Sheriff?
Right here?
Sheriff Weems says some in his community took the reference in the Trump meme to Perry High School to be a threat to shoot up Perry County High School.
What do I even say about this? Like, what do I even say? Like it's so blatant, where it's like... what this reminds me of, do you guys remember, like, being in, like, 3rd grade, and you'd get, like, a math question, and you'd answer it, and your teacher would ask you to show your work, and you'd have to, like, point to, and, like, show, like, okay, so first I did this, and then I did that, and you'd, like, point to each part, because maybe it's just not obvious, your order of operations based on how you wrote it out. Maybe you're a little sloppy with how you write it out. It's just useful for you to get the answer, but not easy to read for the teacher. It reminds me of that. Only in this case, he cannot show his work. All he has is the answer next to the question. He's like, no, I totally didn't use a calculator. And they're like, so where is your work? You know, I did it, it's just not here. Like, there is no threat there. There's nothing there that can be interpreted even a little bit as a threat by any reasonable person. This is very clearly politically motivated. I'm not even, like, genuinely, go fuck yourself if you want to even try to pretend like this was even slightly reasonable or slightly fair. This is a blatant act of fascism. This is the kind of shit that conservatives say, give me one example of Trump being fascist. The fact that Trump hasn't personally pardoned this guy and protected his right to freedom of speech. You guys realize you were the ones arguing the most important kinds of speech to protect were the unpopular speech, right? That was you saying that all those years, right? I'm not making that up.
Which had recently had to deal with a threat from a student.
Whenever you come to a Perry County page, okay, that is set up to let people know what's going on in Perry County, and you post this talking about Perry High School shooting.
It doesn't say Perry County High School.
It says Perry High School mass shooting one day.
So, is he supposed to be able to control the fact that Perry High School was a high school that had a shooting that he was referencing, that Donald Trump spoke on? Because that is a quote of Donald Trump talking about a shooting that happened after the Perry High School shooting. And he just so happens to live in Perry County, which has a Perry County High School. And so they're trying to claim that him saying this feels relevant today means that he's implying that he's going to shoot up that high school. This is why I do think you should be less vague. And you're like the sort of vague posty kind of memes, like, this seems relevant today, and like obviously people are supposed to know what you're referencing. Don't tweet like that. Because, yeah, apparently now there are local right-wing sheriffs out there that will try to use the vagueness of the interpretation that could be taken from your tweet to put you in jail for a month. Might not make it to court. A judge might throw it away right away, but you're going to spend a month or weeks in jail. And that's what you want to avoid. And all it takes is an asshole sheriff who wants to make an example out of you, like this guy.
Okay? That led people to believe in our county that he's talking about Perry County High School, because it doesn't say Iowa either.
But you also knew this was an existing meme that was already out there on the internet.
Correct.
And so it's clear he's not talking about Perry County High School.
We knew. The public did not know.
No one.
He just admitted that law enforcement knew he was making an innocuous post that might be misinterpreted by the public. Misinterpreted. He admits it would be a misinterpretation, and because of said possible misinterpretation, he's committed a crime and must be arrested. Like, that's not even lacking intent for a crime. That's lacking, like, the crime. It's like if somebody got, like, into a car accident and like, how do I even describe this? It's like if somebody actually had a heart attack while driving and wound up crashing into a pole and not hurting anyone, and they tried to arrest him for manslaughter because someone could have gotten hurt even though no one did, and the crash wasn't his fault. Like, that is the level of insanity we're operating on right now. Like, this is a real ACAB moment. Well, I guess it would be TCAB. These cops are bastards.
Even replied to that one meme, the meme that's in question here.
No one said this is a threat against our school.
No one even mentioned it.
Chris Ergel from South Carolina heard about Bussard's arrest and started a Justice for Larry Bussard page on Facebook.
A reasonable person cannot possibly interpret that as a threat. So I'm not sure what he's reacting to. I think it might be his own
The people of this town elected this sheriff, by the way. Sheriffs are elected.
feelings.
So why not just inform the public that this was not about Perry County High School?
Because here's the thing. Whenever you're dealing with something like this and you've got multiple people that is now scared to send their kids to school, we tried to take a different approach and go and speak to this guy and say, hey, look, this is what you're doing.
What?
Yeah, freedom of speech, you know.
As Bussard's wife explained to police, he saw
There's body cam footage. You can't claim you went there to speak to him. Okay, so they went there to speak to him, and he wasn't nice, so the fact that his meme could be misinterpreted as a threat, the fact that the sheriff admitted that they knew it wasn't a threat is insane to me. The fact that he moved the goalpost to, we law enforcement knew he wasn't making an actual threat. We know it wasn't intended to be a threat. We know that's a repurpose of a meme that is popular, talking about a event that, like, they are literally trying to claim that because people might interpret him talking about a news story event that specifically him, because of where he lives, some people in the community might misinterpret it, which they admit would be a misinterpretation, that they should arrest him for a crime that he not only didn't commit, but they admit he didn't commit. They admit, the sheriff admits law enforcement knew he didn't commit a crime.
nothing wrong with what he had done.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you did or did not commit a crime. I may have been.
Obviously when cops say they want to talk, it means they want you to talk and incriminate yourself.
But that's not illegal.
All of this could have been avoided, the sheriff says, if Bussard had just deleted the meme that people in Perry County had found so objectionable.
Whenever we sent Lexington Police Department out to speak to him, and he refused to do that. I mean, what kind of person does that? What kind of person just says he don't care? You know, I'm not taking it down.
Maybe a person who doesn't think he's done anything wrong.
Well, in TCA's eyes and our state legislatures that's put this law forth that come out July 1st, 2024, says otherwise.
As for Weems' statement that Bussard would not be in jail today if he had just deleted the post, Chris Ergel says that shows it was never really about any threat against Perry County High School.
Pretty much tells me he doesn't consider it a threat. If you think it's a threat, why would removing it make any difference?
In your heart, do you think Larry Bouchard...
They literally tried to threaten him to remove a post with jail time. This is a partisan sheriff threatening citizens that live in his jurisdiction with jail time if they don't take down internet posts he doesn't like. And publicly admitting that he and law enforcement knew the person they were threatening with jail time did not commit an actual crime.
Was threatening to shoot up Perry County High School.
In my heart, I think Larry Bouchard knew what he was doing once we made contact with him.
I'm really curious to see if you have absolutely any evidence that he had any plans to actually attack the school. I wonder, how much you want to bet this guy didn't even own a gun? I mean, it is Tennessee, you could have owned guns, but like, I don't know. It would be really funny if he didn't even possess any firearms. That would be the real cherry on top.
Or once law enforcement made contact with him, and I believe that he knew what he was doing, and in my heart, he violated the law set forth by our legislatures.
Now, Mr. Bussard's attorney has filed a motion to reduce his bond, but get this, that motion is not scheduled to be heard until December 4th, which is only adding to the outrage in this situation.
Long time.
I hope he's able to get this all over with and just have it be behind him by Christmas. This is just such a... Like, we're at the point now where Trump and his cronies and his loyalists are using what power they have and wealth and influence they have to target specific progressive people and ruin their lives. Like, if you end up in their crosshairs just because you posted a random tweet and one of their biggest accounts sees it and makes it go viral, you could end up losing your job, losing your house, having every friend and family member, employer, etc. contacted, have like AI generated videos and images sent to them of you. You could have fake stories or fake posts made up that you've made, supposedly. Lose your job, lose your employment. They could contact your, they could send complaints to your payment processors, theoretically, and get like your bank to shut down your account. You know, like these are things that the right has done, and when they put someone in their sights, they will do this incessantly. And we're in this time where they are finding just random people to do it to. Like, I thought that I was in a bit of a scarier situation being a somewhat known progressive commentator. I'm way more scared now that I know that sometimes it's just random boomer dad on Facebook who gets targeted with this stuff, who gets made an example of. The idea that I could be on their crosshairs to silence is not all that crazy.
Time from now. Now, the sheriff cites a state law that was controversial when it passed, and advocates feared that innocent people would kind of be caught up in this. Was there anybody above the sheriff that questioned this, signed off on it?
Yeah, Sheriff Weems tells me that his office did talk to DA Hans Schwindeman's office, and they signed off on the arrest, as did a judicial commissioner. The DA, by the way, did not return my phone call and speak to me like the sheriff was willing to do.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he will, and I know you're going to keep following this story.
Absolutely.
This is so mind-blowing to me. I shouldn't be surprised. Like, I mean, I get conservatives telling me, you're so insane calling Trump a fascist, you have Trump derangement syndrome. But, you know, I shouldn't be surprised. I've spent, you know, the better part of a decade online calling Trump a fascist, saying if this guy gets the amount of power he's grabbing for, we are going to see an America that's much more alike to Nazi Germany or fascist Italy or even Soviet Russia than we are to America. And maybe I thought that I was exaggerating a little bit when I said it. Maybe I was being a little hyperbolic at the time. But as it turns out, I wasn't. I might have been being hyperbolic, but I was right to be. I want to say I feel vindicated, but I more so feel dread that even my most insane predictions of how bad Trump's presidency could be are coming true. But here's the sort of silver lining to this. The fact that Americans are getting so fed up with this. We are seeing a very significant turnaround in the polls. Trump's cult is still as fervent as ever. In fact, they're getting louder and more defensive of him than ever. So that might kind of, I guess, color your perception a little bit. But in reality, the data shows that people are quickly shifting off of favorability for Trump, and we're only 1 year in. Donald Trump might end up being, by a lot, the least popular president in American history by the end of this term. He is definitely going to break his previous record lows. And I think he's going to hold those record lows for a large part of this presidency. And going into the next election with such a sustained negative sentiment towards Republicans, we're probably going to see the same thing that happened in the last election, but in favor of the Democrats this time around. I wouldn't be surprised if we see the biggest blue sweep we've seen in decades in America in the next election. There's going to be a lot of election interference, which could muddy the water a bit, make things difficult, but I think people forget that there was an immense amount of election interference from Trump in 2020, and it led to the highest voter participation in American history, and Biden winning by the most votes any president has won by ever. The fact that the government was blatantly trying to keep you from voting made people want to vote. There's this perception that a lot of Americans have, by the way, that if voting actually did anything, they wouldn't let us do it. So if the Republicans are blatantly not letting people vote, the types of people that think that way are going to start figuring their vote matters, and they're going to want to vote just to spite the government that's trying to take that right from them. And we're not even in election season yet. I don't know, guys. I think we're in the hardest part of what is going to end up being a cycle where the left is back on top in the, well, not in the end, but sooner than later. I hope you guys can at least have a little bit of optimism for that, you know? There's going to be a reckoning at the end of all of this for those that have brought about injustice in our political landscape. They're going to lose their followings, and their followers are going to hold them accountable. People like Trump are going to bomb in the polls because they can't keep the support of the fervent radical followers that they got, or that he collected off of lies. At the end of the day, a career built on lies doesn't last forever, and the Republicans are that. They're the epitome of a career built on lies. Their entire party is built on lies. It's a candle that burns at both ends. It burns real goddamn bright, but it doesn't last all that long. Anyway, folks, if you enjoyed this segment, if you found it entertaining, educational, or enjoyable in any way, then please consider leaving a like and a comment down below. Like I mentioned before, it really does help a lot, and it's totally free. Consider subscribing if you want to see more from me in the future, want to make sure YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload in the future. And follow my social medias, linked down below if you want to see more from me on other platforms, particularly my fan Discord, as that is the main hub of my fan base and community. On top of that, of course, if you want to see more from me on other platforms, if you want to see more from me and support my content, and you want to help me keep the lights on, the roof above my head, as well as food in my stomach here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub to someone else on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you all so much for watching, and as always, I hope you have a good one.